Hey, welcome back to the channel. I'm going to talk about a Greek philosopher called Thales. The Medes and the Lydians had been at war for about 6 years, and they were on the battlefield. And on May 28th, 585 BCE, a solar eclipse occurred, and it so astounded everyone on the battlefield, as it would, considering this is 2,500 years ago, when people still saw these phenomenon as messages from the gods. People were so terrified that they put down their weapons and they stopped fighting, and it began an uneasy peace between the Medes and the Lydians. Now, the fact that the eclipse occurred and it ended the hostilities between these two groups of people is not really what we want to focus in on here. What I want to draw your attention to is the fact that Thales of Milesia predicted this eclipse. Now, this feat is so astounding that 2,500 years later, it is still the subject of scholarly investigation. Now, whether Thales predicted the eclipse as accurately as I've described here, it has as much evidence for it as it has against it, according to Dmitry Panchenko in his paper Thales' Prediction of a Solar Eclipse in the Journal for the History of Astronomy. Now, if Thales had decided to claim divine inspiration for his prediction, who knows what kind of movement would have sprung up in his name. It so astounded his own contemporaries that Herodotus in his Histories recorded it in the year 440 BCE, and it really cemented his reputation as one of the intellectual titans of the ancient world. Thales was also very famous for measuring the heights of the Egyptian pyramids by measuring their shadows. He measured the height of himself relative to his own shadow. He took that ratio, then measured the length of the pyramid's shadow, and then divided it or multiplied it, whatever one was necessary, by the appropriate ratio to find the true heights of the pyramids. Now, while Thales was mesmerizing the ancient world with his just unspeakable genius, I'd like to spend a couple of moments describing what God's prophets were doing around about the same time. As for you, son of man, take a sharp sword for yourself to use as a barber's razor. Shave your head and your beard, and then take scales to weigh and divide the hair into portions. You will burn a third of it in the fire inside the city when the days of the siege are completed. Then you will take another third and strike it with the sword all around the city. And the last third you will scatter to the wind, and I will draw a sword to chase after them.
You've lost your mind.
Then you should lie on your left side and lay the guilt of the house of Israel on yourself. You will carry their guilt for the number of days that you lie on your side. And I will impose on you 390 days corresponding to the years of their guilt. And you will carry the guilt of the house of Israel, and you must complete them. And you must lie upon your right side in the second case, and you must carry out the error of the house of Judah 40 days.
You serious?
Thales is like a modern scientist looking into COVID-19, wanting to understand how it works and wanting to find some practical means to bring out a good solution, to learn information and then to use it in a practical way. Ezekiel is like a ranting preacher on a street corner on a soapbox telling you that COVID-19 is a harbinger for the end of the world. This really is the scale of the difference between Ezekiel's actions and Thales' actions. So who do you want to be? Do you want to be an Ezekiel, or do you want to be a Thales? Now, the governing body wants everyone in the organization to be an Ezekiel, wasting their time on pointless rituals and ceremonies that really accomplish nothing in the end. And they really discourage people from being Thales, from traveling the world, educating yourself from numerous sources and experts, and trying to find real personal satisfaction in realizing your potential. When you're an Ezekiel, you're not really your authentic self. You're acting out a script that has been handed to you by the governing body. You are acting out a performance for who you think you should be. And this performance sucks out any individuality you might have. Now, I'm not saying that if you ignore the governing body, you're going to become a genius like Thales. That's not what I mean. What I'm trying to get at here is that Thales pursued what was meaningful for him. And what was meaningful for him was learning about the world, experiencing the world, and then trying to make sense of it. And he did that in quite an extraordinary way. And so, whatever is meaningful for you, science might not be your thing, but there are all kinds of things that can give you meaning and satisfaction in life. But what's important is that you don't let someone or some group of people oblige you to act out a performance of who you aren't, instead of seeking who you really are and what can give meaning and satisfaction in your life. And I say this as much to myself as I do to other people. I'm not trying to say that I have figured all of this out yet, but I do think that this comparison can help just point us in the right direction. Okay, so thanks for watching. That's all for today.